Well, we're announcing that the Norwalk Library and the city, along with Connecticut Public Television, WNPR, and the other parts of Connecticut Public, are starting a joint planning process to see if we can locate within the enlargement project of the library a new digital media center, classroom, and some broadcasting facilities that could be used in a joint opportunity to make this a real destination in all of southwestern Connecticut for library and media services.
How many people are involved in the planning process?
Well, this has happened pretty quickly. We just sort of had a library expansion project in the works that had a 5-year timetable, and when we learned that Connecticut Public was looking for a new home in Norwalk, we got in touch with them. So this has only really been discussed the last 4 months, and now we're asking the city to form a kind of working group or building committee to take it to the next stage of professional review, costing out, structural engineering, audits, and the other kinds of preliminary work that you need to do before a big building project.
Okay. That expansion process, that hasn't been going on for 5 years, has it? Is that relatively...
It hasn't been going on for 5 years, but it had a 5-year outlook. So we really started it when we were able 2 years ago to get the deal to purchase the Milligan property and to prevent the construction of 69 condos.
Okay.
If those things had happened, it would have been very difficult to envision any kind of construction project here because we would be so landlocked.
Okay.
But now there are opportunities, and as I mentioned, now we have to try to do some of the planning and some of the investigation together. That may not be the traditional way, but the time urgency means that we have to maybe think outside the box and try to do all we can as a city to expedite these processes.
And where would the money for this come from?
Well, this would be primarily city money because the library is a city agency, but the Connecticut Public has also received so far a $1.5 million grant from the state. That might be enlarged because of the new project. The State Library Board gives out construction and planning grants to libraries that are doing this type of renovation and expansion. So the city will be funding the majority of it, but there are opportunities to get grants to support that as well.
Okay, can you show us on this rendering what's happening?
Sure. Well, this is a rendering,
Step over here.
which means it's an illustration. It's not a proposal per se.
Okay.
But the idea was we started out with the existing Carnegie Library, which is the first Carnegie Library in the state, and we've added back these steps. The Carnegie Library has always been known for the steps that Mr. Carnegie thought represented a stairway to knowledge. So the library steps go back, and the 1982 building is sort of behind it, and this is the new area to activate Belden Avenue. So we have a library cafe, which is the number one request of the 1,700 residents who we surveyed in our strategic plan outreach. The number one request was to have a cafe. And you may know that at the Westport Library, at Stanford Library, almost every library has a cafe, and this would be here. This would be the CPTV studio, and we saw in Boston how with WGBH going into the Boston Public Library in an all-glass surrounded area, this is great to bring in people from the street to watch. There's a patio here so you could have little outdoor interviews, little outdoor concerts or performances like the Today Show does outside of its studio in New York. Separate entrance dealing with security for different kinds of programs. But the whole idea was to really take advantage of Belden Avenue. We get in our library about 1,500 visitors a day. And the idea was to make them see the CPTV studio and radio broadcast center as opportunities to go look at when they come to the library. And this pedestrian traffic was a major draw for why Connecticut Public wants to join us.
Okay. So you called this a moonshot. Why are you calling it a moonshot?
It's a moonshot because it combines a high level of importance to the city with a high degree of difficulty in pulling off. And I think when I hear the term moonshot, it means to me everyone has to make a really extra effort to work together to get this done. This was unexpected. The opportunity wasn't something that we anticipated, but you have to take advantage of these things when they come. And as I've said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to create only the second combination of a public media and public library joint project in the entire United States. And this really is the future of libraries, these kinds of collaborations.